Tale of the Sun and Moon by Megan Slime. Episode 6, The Shadow. 34 AG, Earth Kingdom. Wide-eyed, Taki crouches beside a large rock formation in the pouring rain. In awe, she watches the raging battle before her as the lightning shadow, Raiden, takes on several Fire Nation soldiers. A few of them charge straight for Raiden with their spears out. Swiftly, he dodges the attacks, sprints towards the soldiers, and strikes two of them to the ground by whirling his staff violently through the air. Taki stands as she sees another soldier charge at Raiden.
Watch out!
Without realizing it, Taki suddenly dashes forward and bends the rein to waterbend the soldier back against a tree. He crashes to the ground harshly. Taki turns and makes eye contact with Raiden. He stares back at her with lifeless bronze eyes for a moment before sprinting past her and knocking out the two remaining soldiers with his staff. With all of the Fire Nation soldiers now unconscious, Raiden quickly moves to their leader lying in the mud. Reaching inside the man's knapsack, Raiden pulls out a small scroll and proceeds to tear it to pieces.
You're the lightning shadow, aren't you?
Without so much as a sideways glance at Taki, Raiden quickly stands, tosses the remnants of the scroll to the muddy ground, and turns to leave.
What's with the scroll? Why'd you destroy it?
Ignoring Taki completely, Raiden starts running deep into the forest. Narrowing her eyes, Taki dashes after him and swipes her arms into the air to bend the rein. She uses it to freeze one of Raiden's feet to the ground, which instantly stops him from moving.
I helped you out back there. You at least owe me some answers.
Silently, Raiden glances down at his frozen foot. All of a sudden, he smashes the ice with the end of his staff, turns and darts straight for Taki. She quickly waterbends a stream of rain at him, which he rolls to avoid. Still moving, Raiden swiftly uses his staff to knock Taki backwards into a tree. Then, he pulls out a hidden dagger from his lower back and holds it up to her throat. Panting, Taki stares wide-eyed back at Raiden, who narrows his bronze eyes at her. The hard rain continues to pelt down upon the forest as Taki studies Raiden intently. He wears all black with a face mask, reaching above his nose and covering most of his face. His chin-length dark brown hair covers part of his right eye and drips with rain. Raiden tilts his head slightly to the side as he studies Taki.
I don't know you anything.
But the battle,
Merely interrupted a fight that was already decided.
You were fighting then to destroy a scroll?
My mission is complete.
Without another word, Raiden sheaths his dagger and starts walking away. Taki watches him go and then looks down in thought.
How would you like a new mission?
Raiden stops but doesn't turn to face her.
You're a mercenary, right? Well, I'd like to hire you. I only have water tribe money, but...
What's the mission?
To help me find my father.
We travel together to locate him.
Yes. I'm trying to track down where he traveled the past 16 years.
Not interested. I work alone.
As Raiden walks away, Taki quickly runs after him.
Wait, please!
Raiden stops abruptly and glances back at her with an intense gaze.
It's just... I have to find him. I didn't even know that he was alive until yesterday. I've missed so much time with him already. I don't know if I'll be able to find him on my own. Someone with your skills might just be the key to finding my father.
Slowly, Raiden walks up right to Taki and stares intently into her eyes.
If I take this mission, we do it my way.
Does that mean you'll do it?
And the payment?
I'll pay you half now, and half when we find my father.
Taki holds out the sack of coins to Raiden.
Deal?
With a quiet exhale, Raiden slowly takes the pouch of money and throws it in the thin bag slung over his head and shoulder.
Thank you. I can't tell you how much this means.
Where's the last known location of the target?
Well, he stayed at the Abbey not too far from here for a short time. The nuns said he was headed to Makapu village next.
Very well.
Immediately, Raiden turns and starts moving downhill.
Wait a minute, where are you going?
To Makapu. I assume you want to find the target as soon as possible.
Well, yes, but it doesn't have to be this very second.
Stopping suddenly, Raiden turns to Taki.
And why would we wait?
For starters, we haven't even been properly introduced.
Raiden's eyes widen slightly. Somewhat awkwardly, Taki shifts her weight and clears her throat slightly.
I'm Taki.
Raiden says nothing.
And You are?
Uneasily, Raiden looks down.
I take it Lightning Shadow isn't your real name.
Slowly, Taki takes a step towards Raiden and reaches up her hand to lower his face mask.
Who are you?
Instinctively, Raiden rapidly grabs Taki's wrist to stop her. As he grips her forearm tightly, Raiden stares back at her with lifeless eyes. Unable to stand Taki's stunned, expectant gaze, Raiden releases her wrist and faces away.
I'm sorry, I just...
If you must know, my name is Raiden.
Just then, the lightning ceases. The thunder subsides and the rain diminishes. Taki gazes up at the clearing sky.
Finally, it stopped.
After she elegantly bends the water out of her hair and clothes, Taki looks back over at Raiden.
Well, Raiden, it's nice to meet you.
Now, we go.
Not without Isla.
Didn't say there would be anything else.
Trust me, you'll be thankful for this companion.
Turning back towards the rock formation up the hill, Taki whistles loudly. A few moments later, Isla races around the rocks and over to Taki. As soon as Isla sees Raiden, she widens her stance and growls quietly. Gently, Taki places her hands on Isla's face.
It's all right, girl. He's a friend.
Friend?
Once Isla is calm enough, Taki carefully climbs onto the saddle.
Friend or not, are you coming? Traveling will be much faster on Isla than walking.
After taking a moment to carefully study the massive eagle hound before him, Raiden cautiously climbs onto Isla and sits behind Taki with his back to her.
What are you doing?
I don't like turning my back on potential threats.
But you'll turn your back on me.
You are not a threat.
Not sure if I should be relieved or insulted by that. Anyway, we're finally off.
With that, Isla breaks into a run, carrying both Taki and Raiden out of the forest and across the Earth Kingdom's lands. 34 AG, Earth Kingdom, Makapu Village. Nearing the central gates of Makapu Village, Taki slows Isla to a stop so that her and Raiden can dismount.
All right, you'd better wait here, Isla.
Isla sits and stares back at them with quizzical eyes.
Now to investigate the village and its inhabitants to gather information on the target.
Raiden moves toward the gate, but stops when he realizes Taki hasn't moved.
Raiden, there's something you should know before we start the search for my father.
Raiden stares over at her, but says nothing.
You see, I'm a waterbender, but my father is... well, he's a firebender.
Taki glances up at Raiden, expecting some sort of reaction, but he simply stares back at her with the same empty gaze.
Doesn't that matter to you?
Should it?
Oh, no, but it's just... never mind.
Shall we carry on?
A tiny smile appears on Taki's face as she walks over to Raiden.
Yes, let's go.
Side by side, the two of them enter into the bustling village of Makapu. Taking in all of the beautiful architecture and vivacious people, Taki smiles brightly.
What a quaint village. I suppose we should start by asking around town if anyone saw my father pass through here years ago.
Taki glances over at Raiden and her mouth drops as he slowly pulls down his face mask. For the first time, Taki is able to see Raiden's full face, except for his right eye, which is partly covered by his wavy dark brown hair.
Raiden, you're
You
masked.
didn't expect me to interrogate the townspeople like that, did you? People only give up information under two circumstances.
And those are?
Willingly, if they trust you, or unwillingly, if you force the information out of them.
Ah, well, I'm thankful we're going with the first approach. Don't really want to cause a scene.
We'll gather information faster if we split up.
Without another word, Raiden turns and moves over to a small group of townspeople in the main plaza. Silently, Taki watches him go and then slowly walks down a side street. She notices a man and a woman across from her. Just as Taki is about to approach them, the man pulls out a beautiful black and white flower and hands it to the woman. She smiles brightly and throws her arms around the man to kiss him. Taki tilts her head in a slight wonderment.
Ah, the panda lily flower never fails for lovers.
Blinking in astonishment, Taki turns to the elderly woman now standing next to her.
Lovers?
In our village, that flower is a sign of true love.
With a small smile, Taki glances over at the couple once more. Then she turns back to the elderly woman.
Speaking of this village, how long have you lived here?
Oh, young lass, I've lived here my entire life.
Oh, great. Do you happen to recall a dark-haired man named Tayo visiting this village? He would have had a burn scar on his right wrist.
Now that you mention it, I did sell some supplies to a man of that description, if I remember correctly. I believe he ventured up to Mount Makaku,
Our active volcano just up the path outside the village.
By any chance, did he say where he was headed after the volcano?
I'm sorry, he didn't.
That's fine. Thanks for the information.
With a slight bow to the elderly woman, Taki takes off running down the street. Eventually, she spots Ryden in the middle of a large courtyard with a few townspeople shaking their heads and walking away from him. As he turns around, Taki walks swiftly over to him with a smile shining on her face.
Good news! I ran into an old woman who sold supplies to my father when he passed through this town. She said he went up to the volcano just outside the village.
How did you get the information so quickly?
I guess when it comes to methods of gathering information, I'm more skilled in the area of trust. And you're better with, well,
Force.
yeah.
With a slight clearing of his throat, Ryden turns to the city gate.
Now that we know where your father went from here, we should go to the volcano and search for any indication of where he might have gone next.
With a nod, Taki falls into step beside Ryden as they make their way to the edge of the city. They see Isla resting near a tall tree. As soon as she sees them, Isla stands, dashes over to them, and rubs her head against Taki's side. Taki laughs and pets her gently on the head. Then she turns to the looming volcano before them.
Ready for a climb, girl?
Isla bends down, allowing Taki and Ryden to climb onto her back. Then they begin the trek up the long, uneven path to the volcano.
The old woman I spoke to said this is actually an active volcano.
As per most of their conversations, Ryden remains silent. Thoughtfully, Taki gazes down at the volcano ground covered by black, cool lava as Isla walks over it.
Fire Nation is like this volcano. Dangerous, looming over us all, able to strike at any moment.
Again, Ryden remains silent. Taki glances back at him.
Is it true that you hold no allegiance to any nation?
Ryden avoids her gaze and stares down at the ground.
Nations are meaningless. In this world, all must fight to survive. It makes no difference who you're for or against. In the end, we all become ash.
Taki faces forward in thought and pauses for a brief moment before responding.
Allegiance or not, everyone belongs somewhere.
With an intrigued look, Ryden looks over at Taki. She continues staring forward as they finally reach the summit of the volcano. They dismount from Isla, who immediately starts sniffing the blackened ground. Scattered about the volcano rim are countless panda lily flowers.
Not sure what clues we'll find up here about my father, but it's worth a look around.
Silently, the two of them start searching around the summit area for any long-lost trace of her father being there. Almost an hour goes by of finding nothing. With a heavy sigh, Taki puts her hands on her hips.
I guess it was a long shot. After all these years, why would there be any sign left of him being up here? Seems we've hit our first dead end.
Taki gazes out at the open sky and village below as the wind rustles over the volcanic ground and through the sea of flowers.
At least the view is nice up here.
Glancing over, Taki stops talking when she realizes Ryden is holding out one of the black and white flowers to her. He stares out over the city, avoiding her gaze. Slowly, Taki takes a step towards him. Wide-eyed, she studies Ryden as her mind flashes back to the elderly woman in the town.
The panda lily flower, a sign of true love.
Ryden?
Are you going to take it or not?
With a smile, Taki reaches out and takes the flower from him.
Thank you.
Still without looking at her, Ryden moves towards Isla.
As you said, this is a dead end. We should question more of the townspeople for information.
Right.
Gently, Taki places the flower in one of her pockets. She follows Ryden over to Isla, who is lying on the ground a short distance away. Just as Taki reaches them, footsteps are heard behind them. Both Taki and Raiden whirl around to find an elderly man standing at the edge of the volcanic rim. His gaze slowly drifts over to them, and a smile appears on his face.
It's always nice to see new young faces visiting our volcano.
Briefly, Taki and Raiden exchange glances and then slowly approach the old man.
And what brings you two up here? Are you lovers here for the panda lily flower?
Immediately, Taki's face flushes red as Raiden shifts his weight uneasily.
No, that's not... We're here to find information about a man who traveled through this village many years ago. Apparently he came to visit this volcano at some point.
Oh, I see. I might just have seen your mystery man. I've come up to the volcano every day since I was a boy.
Really? That's great.
I never forget a face. Describe this man to me.
He would have been a young man at the time. He has dark hair like mine and a scar in his right arm.
Yes. The scar I remember distinctively. The poor fellow seemed so lost, not knowing where he was going in life.
20 AG, Earth Kingdom, Mount Macabre. The elderly man, somewhat younger, stands at the edge of the volcanic rim and turns when he hears approaching footsteps. Tayo walks up to the blackened path with a dazed look.
What brings you up to our volcano, young man?
Oh, I'm not quite sure. Just thought I'd take a look. It's not every day you get to see an active volcano.
Right you are. Take a gander.
Tayo moves to the edge of the rim and stands among the countless panda lily flowers.
That's quite the scar you have there.
Solemnly, Tayo glances down at his exposed, scarred wrist.
Fire is the most dangerous and wild element of all. Soon this world will be consumed by it.
Well then, we'd better enjoy the peace and beauty while we can, cherishing each and every moment.
Tayo looks over at the man with a slightly stunned expression.
Take these flowers, for instance. I come up to the volcano every day just to admire their beauty. They're a symbol for love, you know.
With a somber expression, Tayo glances all around at the flowers.
Have you any loved ones?
My Yuzuki is forever out of reach. I haven't seen my parents since I was a boy. Not even sure if they're still alive or not.
You could always write a letter to find out. I hear there's a Fire Nation post office in a colony to the east of here. Though, I'm not sure of your feelings towards the Fire Nation.
My feelings towards the Fire Nation.
As he stares at the ground, Tayo balls his hands into tight fists.
Because of that nation, because of this war, I've lost everything.
34 AG, Earth Kingdom, Mount Macabre. Taki takes a small step towards the elderly man.
So, what did he do next? Did he go to the post office in the Fire Nation colony?
He didn't say much else, but he seemed to want to know about his parents. I'd say it's very likely he traveled there soon after I saw him.
Okay, that's good enough to go on for me. Thanks so much for the information.
Anytime, my dear. Now you two enjoy your visit to the volcano and the flowers.
With a smile, the elderly man turns away and starts moving down a side path from the volcanic rim. Taki looks over at Raiden with a bright smile.
Another trail for us to follow.
We should depart immediately for the Fire Nation colony town and locate this post office.
Right. Let's get going.
Taki pauses when she sees smoke drifting up from the village below.
Wait. What's with all that smoke?
Taking a step down the volcanic path, Taki narrows her gaze at the village. Her eyes grow wide when she sees countless Fire Nation soldiers moving into the village and attacking the citizens.
Oh no! The Fire Nation! The village is under attack! Come on, we've got to help!
Taki starts racing towards Isla, but stops when she glances back to find that Raiden hasn't moved.
Fighting the Fire Nation in this instance won't aid us in completing the mission.
What?
The mission to locate your father. Saving this village will not help finish the mission.
Mouth agape, Taki walks back over to Raiden.
That doesn't matter. These people need our help.
Taki goes to leave again, but Raiden reaches out and grabs her arm to stop her.
The mission is leading us elsewhere. We need to move on.
No, we can't. Not yet. Not when we can do something to help.
Do you not want to find your father?
Yes, of course. But I'm not going to turn my back on innocent people who need my help.
With that, Taki rips her arm out of Raiden's grasp and dashes over to Isla. She quickly climbs on and glances back over at Raiden.
You may be a mercenary, but no one's this heartless.
With a slight kick of her feet into Isla's sides, Taki urges her down the volcanic path at great speed. Silent and still, Raiden stands and watches them go. As Taki enters the village, she dismounts Isla to find a few buildings already on fire and several Fire Nation soldiers battling against some earthbenders. Growling wildly, Isla rushes forward and slams her massive tail into various Fire Nation troops as she chomps at others.
Right.
Swiftly, Taki runs towards a wide fountain and raises her arms to bend a massive wave of water onto several of the burning buildings. Two firebenders see this and make eye contact with Taki.
Take her down.
Two of them charge at Taki while sending a barrage of flame attacks hurtling towards her. Twirling her hands up as she spins, Taki blocks their fire with a wide spiral of water around herself. As they near her, Taki flicks her wrist to whip both soldiers aside with water.
Not today.
Glancing to the side, Taki sees four more Fire Nation soldiers approaching two cowering Earth Kingdom citizens. She raises her arms to bend water in front of her. Narrowing her focus, Taki flexes her fingers, causing the water to bubble with heat. She steps forward and douses the soldiers with the boiling water. All four of them scream and run out of the town. The two village citizens look over at Taki with grateful smiles.
Thank you.
Taki gives a curt nod and then glances over in the direction of the main town plaza. More smoke billows upwards from the countless other burning buildings. Wide-eyed, Taki sprints down the street until she reaches the village plaza. Various earthbenders rage against several firebenders. A majority of the town citizens have been placed in the center of the plaza, huddled together. Several more firebenders circle around them. Most of the buildings around them are ablaze with fire. One of them begins to break apart.
No!
Taki races towards the collapsing, burning building, but she sees two people inside. Still using the village's fountain water, Taki douses the flames and then creates a support beam of ice to hold it up. Just as she turns back to the battle in the plaza, Taki's hit with a blast of fire and thrust into the porch of another burning building. Instantly, the building porch collapses onto her, pinning half of her down. Only one arm and her head are free of the burning wood. Wincing in pain, Taki watches helplessly as the firebenders defeat the remainder of the earthbenders and turn their attention to the trembling Makapu citizens.
Your earthbenders are defeated. Your last line of defense is gone. Your village is now under the control of the Fire Nation. All hail Fire Lord Azulon!
No. I failed.
Just then, a blur of black leaps in front of Taki and races towards the firebenders. Slowly, Taki's eyes grow wide.
Raiden.
At incredible speed, Raiden surges in and around the startled firebenders and quickly takes out two of them with his staff. Finally, alerted to his presence, the other soldiers charge and firebend all at once towards Raiden. With their mouths slightly open, Taki watches in awe as Raiden weaves past their attacks and takes down several more of them. It's almost as if he can predict each of their firebending moves. However, several more Fire Nation soldiers file into the plaza and unleash a mighty blast of fire at Raiden. This manages to hit him and knock him against the main fountain.
No, Raiden!
Struggling to get free, Taki wiggles back and forth but fails to free herself from the fallen structure.
I only have one arm free. There's not much I...
Taki stops when she realizes Raiden is staring over at her with focused eyes. He makes a motion with one of his arms, and Taki realizes it's a waterbending move, a move she had long forgotten about. Then Raiden stands and smashes his steel staff into the side of the fountain, causing water to spill out across the plaza.
Got it.
Mirroring the waterbending move Raiden just demonstrated, Taki uses her free arm to freeze all of the water on the ground of the plaza. Instantly, all of the firebenders begin slipping and sliding all over. Raiden uses this opportunity to slide around and knock out as many as he can with his staff. Swiftly, Raiden skates around the Fire Nation soldiers as they fail to hit him with their fire since they're unable to hold their footing. Now, with regained strength, All of the earthbenders stand and take down the remainder of the firebenders.
Retreat! Soldiers, retreat!
With that, all of the Fire Nation troops scramble out of the plaza and retreat from the village. The crowd of Makapu citizens unleashes a resounding cheer. Quickly, Raiden moves over to Taki and lifts up the fallen wood so that she can crawl out from under it. Tossing it aside, Raiden holds out his hand to her. She looks at it for only a moment before smiling and taking it. He helps Taki to her feet.
Thanks, Raiden.
Raiden gives a short nod. With a quiet exhale, Taki faces the plaza once again. She limps forward and then raises her arms to use the remaining fountain water to douse the rest of the flaming buildings around the village. Another cheer erupts from the earthbenders and citizens.
Praise be to our heroes!
The elderly woman from before approaches Taki and Raiden with a large smile.
Thanks be to both of you for saving our village.
With a brief glance over at Raiden, Taki faces the woman with a warm smile.
I'm glad we were able to help, but now we should be going.
Almost as if she had heard Taki, Isla races into the plaza and stops next to them in a crouched position. Taki attempts to mount Isla, but stops to clutch her side while wincing in pain. Without a second thought, Raiden scoops Taki up in his arms and hoists her up onto Isla's back. Taki feels her face grow warm as Raiden climbs up behind her. Clearing her throat, Taki faces the crowd again.
Take care, everyone. May your village stay safe and free.
The crowd cheers once again as Isla darts out of the village carrying Taki and Raiden. Once on the dirt path, they travel in silence for several minutes. A few times, Taki goes to say something, but stops herself. Finally, she simply can't take it anymore. Somewhat abruptly, Taki glances back at Raiden with focused eyes.
How did you know?
What?
How did you know that rare waterbending move? You're not even a bender. I barely remembered the move, and I'm a waterbender. I just don't get it. How?
Raiden looks down in silence. Inhaling sharply, Taki suddenly halts Isla and turns to face Raiden. He looks up at her since they've stopped. Raising an eyebrow, Taki crosses her arms and waits for an answer.
What does this have to do with the mission?
For once, forget the mission and answer me.
He continues to stare back at her, but says nothing.
Come on, Raiden, there's already so much that I don't know about you. Just tell me this one thing.
If you insist on knowing.
Raiden pauses, causing Taki to lean in slightly.
I knew the waterbending move because I've mastered all 4 elements.
Blinking in confusion, Taki tilts her head slightly.
What do you mean?
I've spent the past 7 years mastering every martial art I can, including the 4 bending art forms. Traveling all across the world, I've trained with various masters and studied every scroll I can get my hands on. In order to become the fighter I am today, I had to memorize every single move and form of each nation's bending styles and martial arts.
Amazing. Raiden, you're incredible.
For a split moment, Raiden shows a look of surprise at Taki's praise. He faces away.
That must be why you're able to take down benders so easily. You can predict each of their bending attacks by watching the martial arts moves they make. In a way, you're almost like the Avatar, mastering all 4 elements.
Stunned and speechless, Raiden looks up at her. She smiles back at him.
In this dark time void of the Avatar, the world could use someone like you.
Taki turns and faces forward again. She motions for Isla to continue on, which she does.
Maybe you could even give me a waterbender lesson sometime. But for now, we'd better make our way to the Fire Nation colony.
Still slightly stunned, Raiden stares at the back of Taki's head. A short moment later, she glances up at the clear sky thoughtfully.
Truly one of a kind, Raiden.
With a suddenly grim look, Raiden looks down.
If only.
Thank you for listening to A Tale of the Sun and Moon by Megan Sly. This has been episode 6, The Shadow. Voice talents included Michaela Case as the narrator, Sharia Bunce as Taki, Joshua Malley as Tayo, Dawson Elke as Raiden, and Felicia Nicole, Alec Leonard, Mitch Geiken, and Abby Day as additional voices.